Hey guys, this is Fergal from PokerVIP. Welcome back to part 2 of our brand new cash game series over on Unibet Poker. So we're playing some 10NL throughout this series. If anyone has watched part 1, you'll know what it's all about. We have four tables, should I say, of 10NL on the go. So we've shown a half an hour of our footage of our gameplay already, and this is a half hour immediately preceding it. So we're straight back into the action. All right, we defended our pocket nines. We are going to go for a lead now. When this guy checks back, we want to start getting value from his ace highs, especially if they have a flush draw to go along with it. I don't envision he has many overpairs, so we're not really too worried about having the worst hand, but there are a lot of bad river cards for us, so we're going to have a wager, and we take it down without a fight. So far we're up on all of our tables except for our bottom right one. Actually, I think from the bottom left one, we might not necessarily be up because we did get stacked early on. King 4 suited, we will defend. We defend quite wide from the blinds because we're just getting such a good price to do so. We flop a pair and we also have the backdoor flush draw. Certainly not going anywhere for that price. We will check again. Hopefully this player just checks through. We don't really want to see another bet. If he bets the same kind of sizing though, we don't really have a choice but to call. They do size up, which is a little unfortunate. We are going to go ahead and fold our second pair though. We're going to go ahead and use our suited ace as a 3-bet bluff out of the small blind here versus jackpot. We should get a lot of respect here. When we're 3-betting from these positions, it's showing quite a lot of strength, so I would expect him to continue with quite a narrow range and to be folding the bulk of his current opening range. We do get called. We are going to fire one and done here. So we're going to go 115 into 223. And we take it down without a fight. And sorry, when I say one and done there, that's not necessarily true, because there are a decent number of good cards there for us, bearing in mind that we did have the 3 to a flush and the 3 to a straight, along with our ace high. But I'd be pretty surprised there if we had the best hand, so we're happy to see the fold. He's going to be folding a chunk of his pocket pairs and stuff like that. And like hands like ace queen, ace jack, stuff like that he might elect to defend. I mean, I don't know if he should be defending the, especially ace jack type hands, but in that exact scenario he should be, but against my overall 3-betting range there, I'm going to be more value heavy than bluffs there, that is for sure. Deuce 3 offsuit versus easy fold. So a pretty good session so far anyway. We're up around about a buy-in over a half an hour play from part 1, and part 2 has gotten off to a reasonable start as well. 6-9 suited, we will fold. King 10 offsuit. If this is suited, we'd be opening from under the gun, but we are just going to go ahead and let this one go. Always nice getting a walk with the 6-10. The dream. We have a player called Fedor Holtz at our table. I wonder, is it the Fedor Holtz? I always think it's funny when people use famous poker players as their name. Seems like a questionable decision at best. 7-4 offsuit again. We open the button incredibly wide. We don't open it quite that wide. We don't open any two. 8-jack suited, definitely some potential to see a flop. And if there is no raise before us, we will be calling, getting a little over 2 to 1 on our money with suited semi-connected hands. Hopefully, I mean, we wouldn't mind this going multi-way. We definitely don't mind seeing this guy call. Okay, flop top pair. We will check to the razor. We're going to call with the 8s versus Cork City. Cork City is another city within Ireland, so I would assume he is an Irish player, so new to the side as well. Okay, so we're obviously not folding here. If Chongan like raises or anything weird, then we may have to, but we're certainly going to call and see. Oof. Oh, what a dream. What a dream. Okay, with our pocket 8s, we're definitely not folding to a single bet. If this guy double barrels, then we will likely get out of the way. And we're just going to go for a large wager here now and try to get called. Crying call, hoping to chop the pot perhaps. And yeah, 8-8 versus the double barrel. We're just going to go ahead and fold. We will c-bet the deuce 5-8 with the intention of barreling a reasonable number of turns. Hopefully, we obviously want to get called here. He can potentially call for the chop. He does not. Okay, so we bet, we get called, and we get raised, so something tells me we're not ahead here, and we're going to go ahead and let it go, obviously with our king high. Sometimes you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, and that's okay. If you're never getting caught with your hand in your cookie jar, you are not bluffing enough. It's one of my favorite expressions. Never be afraid of having to bet fold. Queen 4 into the gun, easy fold obviously. 10 deuce offsuit, even if this goes multi-way, we're not planning on defending here. It is just too trashy a hand. Would have flopped a gutter, but even then, it's obviously a very, very tricky hand to realize equity with. 4-5, piece in world, decides to go for the open limp. I don't think we're going to go for the ISO this wide. We're going to be happy just to check. Unfortunately, Overlord foils our plans, so we don't even get to see a free flop. Pocket 8's up in the top left table. We will likely be playing. Ace-9 suited will definitely bring in for an open under the gun. So we were going to 3-bet JP Morgan if he elected to open. He didn't. He just folded. And we flop a set, which is the dream. We're just going to bet half pot here, and hopefully this guy gets a little frisky. We're actually going to go for the check raise here now. Expect him to bet this card a reasonable chunk. That ace kind of sucks, because we're going to have a decent amount of ace-x, so it's going to be hard for him to pay us off here too wide. But I don't think it's a card he's going to bluff himself all that frequently if he decided not to bluff on the turn, if he had some kind of showdown value. We will call with the suited connectors with the 4-5. We flop open-ended, no backdoor. We'd obviously like a heart to be there as well, but we can't have it all. And we're going to go for the 3-bet here with the ace-7 offsuit. I don't use this hand. I don't use this as a 3-bet every single time. We do flip in the occasional 3-bets with it though. I'm going to check call with a purr. We now have a full house. We're just going to try to get this to showdown if we can. The jack and the jack is good, sir. Take it down. Okay, we pick up a pair. That doesn't really change too much. It does give us some more equity in the sense that obviously we don't really want a 5, but an extra 4 would be pretty good for us. But it does mean though that if we do bink an ace or a 6, that it puts 4 to a straight on the board, which means it's harder to get paid off. So overall this is actually not a particularly good card. Bet's pretty huge. Spank the booty, that's a good name. So we're getting like a little over 2.5 to 1 on our money. If we hit a 4, we'll get paid pretty frequently unless he has like exactly pocket kings or something like that. But our straight outs just make it a lot more tricky to get paid. So I'm actually going to go ahead and let this go. Kind of annoying. Just our implied odds go way down for a straight, which is, you know, I think it's unlikely that our 4 is ever ahead there when he double barrels into 2 people. So, and we are going to be against like hands like sets with a reasonable frequency as well. So just a bit of a dicey spot all around. Deuce 4 suited, we will fold. We will defend with the 6s, and the 8-3 offsuit we will fold. We get squeezed again, which is kind of tilting because we can't defend. Eight jack suited in the big. We will be seeing a flop base facing a lot of different types of actions here. We don't want to see a raise in a 3-bet though. We might go for the 3-bet here ourselves versus a cutoff open. If Overlord folds, that is what we will do. So I'm going to go ahead and make it 110 to go. And we take it down without a fight pre-flop, which is the optimal scenario, but we don't necessarily hate seeing a call, but we do prefer just taking it down here and now. 4 or 5 suited, we defend for the big. Reg will c-bet this board at a high frequency, and we will fold with an even higher frequency, so we're just not going to win this pot really. Queen deuce suited, we will let go, and we get 3-bet here with the ace-8. We will fold. Queen, we are ready to go to war with this hand. So pretty easy 3-bet here. We're going to make it 4x the original open, so 120 to go, Reg, if you want to play. Queen 5 offsuit, we're just going to fold, and the 3-9 offsuit we cannot defend here either. Definitely would have preferred a bit more action with the queens, but hey, we can't have it all, am I right? A7 versus Chonga's open will fold. And King Queen, obviously a very, very easy open. So we have Fedor Holtz over here. He has not rebought, so generally speaking, I didn't see a way of turning auto top up on here, but so it's not quite the same, doesn't quite hold true. But if he's not kind of topping up anytime he drops in any way below the max buy-in, he's probably not going to be one of the better players. So we're going to go for the 3-bet here and expect him not to be defending very correctly at all. Sick call mate goes for the call 4-bet, which is really upsetting. So we have a very, very trivial give up now. We're getting pummeled with the re-raises at the moment. Less than ideal. Don't know if this guy is new to the table. I haven't noticed him doing much recently. Pretty easy defend here with the Queen 10. We could elect a 3-bet as well, but Queen 10 is a pretty strong holding all round. Definitely don't mind taking a flop with it. Good and bad card here for us. Like, we pick up obviously the flush draw, we pick up the gut shot, but it obviously puts an extra over card out there as well. And we river close to the nuts. Problem is, when we raise here, we look incredibly strong, but like I still think just flatting is way too nitty. So he folds, and he folds pretty quickly. Definitely not shocked to see the bet fold, because as I said, when we do raise there, we just are nutted, but a lot of people at these limits, they just don't have fold buttons. So if we were kind of up against a player that we thought was quite competent, I think flatting is very, very reasonable, but assuming that your opponents at these limits are far from competent is going to be a much better strategy, and just pushing for that value. So I mean, even like, I mean, if like say if I'm in his shoes and I have like a bad flush, if I bet and get raised on that kind of run out, it's just going to be so dicey. Now, I don't know if I fold with kind of worse flushes, but I'm not going to be happy about life anyway. Okay, so we go for the 3-bet. We flop an open ender, which is a fine result. We will wager. He goes for the check raise. I don't think there's much to do, but just to go for the jam. And we get it in versus top. We have an overcard and we have the open ender. We do not hit. So not the end of the world there. I think how we played it is perfectly fine. The 3-bet pre is definitely okay. We can consider checking back the flop, but I think betting is definitely going to be better long term. But still take it. We lose. I think we're back to close to in or around even for the session now, which is a bit unfortunate. We've had a couple of unfortunate spots there. Like obviously that's close to a flip with our open ender and our overcard. We had the aces into the kings into the aces earlier on as well for a full stack. So we haven't been running particularly well, but we're in or around even. We're down an ever so slight amount. That was a reasonable sized pot, obviously. But if you're going to be playing poker, you're going to have to accept the bad and the good. That's all part of the game, right? So we've gone for the wager here with our gut shot. We do get called. We were hoping just to take this down. Obviously, we're not going to fire a second barrel. I don't think he bets his ace-x, and I think his ace-x is like his likeliest holdings. We actually have a very, very marginal amount of showdown value here if he has, like, say, a hand like 10 jack or something like that, but obviously we're not really holding out too much hope for that to happen. So I think this is just going to go... I think he checks his ace-x here pretty often, so I think it just goes check pretty frequently, and we lose. He does go for the bet. Whatever, we fold. We flop top and bottom pair on the bottom right table. This is single-handedly the worst card in the deck for us. I mean, I don't even think we can call here with our kind of house outs. I think we're just going to go ahead and let that go. It kind of sucks that he chose that sizing, but it's just such a bad turn for us. Queen 5 suited. We pick up top pair, blind versus blind. I presume this is blind versus blind. I assumed I did not open this. If we are beat here, we're going to struggle to find a fold on safe runouts because this is a board where he can definitely have a decent amount of bluffs. He's betting quite large, which is a bit of a concern. That card isn't particularly good. The only good news is though they can have like some showdown value now that just like if we were beat, he's just going to be check folding a very, very decent chunk here. So do we want to turn our hand into a bluff? Let's go for it. tense silence. Will they look us up light? We get the fold through. So it's definitely possible we just had the best hand, but I mean, like, we can also get like better queens to fold there, some overpairs, stuff like that, obviously without the flush. So interesting spot, but I think it's okay. We're going to defend here with our ace-8 suited versus this player who seems to be on the more aggressive side. Flop top and bottom pair, which is a fine result. Going to go for the check raise versus this sizing. We want to start building a pot immediately and look to play for stacks here. We're going to choose a sizing here, whereas if he does have a hand like ace queen or something, he's going to have a very, very difficult time folding. When he does fold to the check raise, like, it's just that kind of, it's a sort of spot where it's just going to be very, very tricky for him to continue bluffing if he is bluffing. So our best chance is to raise and hope he does have the ace and that we can cooler him for a decent sized pot. So this guy called a bet on the flop, check the turn. I think I'm going to look this one up. Oh, we accidentally folded. Whoops. I was going to look him up there, but we didn't get the opportunity to do so. We timed out. Rookie move. The reason being, it's just so hard for him to have that many value hands as played. I mean, I guess he could be slow playing in an 8, but I think a call there is going to be pretty reasonable given the hearts have missed and like hands like Jack 9 and stuff like that missed as well. We're going to have a bet here with our open ender, hopefully take it down without a fight, and if not, we will just be checking back a lot of turns. This is definitely one that will be checking back. So it looks like we're heads up here now, which isn't ideal, but flopping the nutter butters is. That's really upsetting. He just check calls the ace-4 and binks his 3 outs. That's upsetting. It's a pretty easy bet scenario here. There's very few run-its where we're not going to be looking for a lot of value. We will wager again. We're going to size up here a little bit. Oh, hello. I mean, when he check raises here, it's just so hard for him to have bluffs, so I don't see much value in not just jamming. If he's ever doing this with a draw type hand or anything like that, we want to make sure that we charge in the max. If he has sets and stuff like that, it doesn't really matter what we do because the money's going to be going in most scenarios anyway. And it's just so hard for him to have a complete stone cold bluff here, so we're just going to stick the money in and hopefully get paid. We do not, though. I'm a little bit surprised there. I was expecting to get called there a pretty damn high frequency, but not the end of the world, of course. So we're almost 2/3 of the way through. This is going to be a half-hour long video. We're coming up to the 20-minute mark, so we've got a little bit of time to win back our losses. So we definitely down this video anyway, that much I know. We had obviously the king jack into the ace queen on the open-ender board, did the damage. We're going to bet here with our bottom set. A lot of potential hands he can want to continue with, and there are some hands that he wants to raise as a bluff as well. Unfortunately, we just take it down though. We're going to defend here. Fedor Holtz seems like one of the more weaker players for sure. We could consider 3-betting this hand, but when he 4x's it, I'm not convinced that 3-betting is going to be particularly good. We're going to check back here for a little bit. Not like this is not out of fear of having the worst hand or anything close to it. It's just purely for deception. If he has an underpair, we want to try to get hero by it, and by checking the flop, we can potentially do so. Interesting. Hopefully he does not have king. If he leads here, I think we just call. If he checks, we're definitely betting. I mean, it's kind of hard to envision what he has here. I wouldn't be shocked to see something like 10 jack, especially 10 jack of spades or something along those lines. Kind of hard for him to have flushes and not bet. I mean, I'm certainly not folding here. He just has the pocket eights that he just turns into a really weird bluff. Very, very peculiar play. Very peculiar. We'll take it though, and our read is confirmed that he is certainly one of the weaker players in the pool. That was a bit of a wild bluff. And just to clarify, I was never really considering folding there. I was just making 100% sure I didn't want to raise. I definitely wasn't loving life there, but it was just and that's why I elected not to raise, of course. But I mean, when you've got top top pair and third pair, so almost top two. I think folding would be definitely too nitty, but it's a sort of spot there where, I mean, he can be doing it with like hands like king queen for value and stuff like that as well. So against those hands, raising seems best, of course, because I don't envision him ever folds, but he's also going to have some potential ace king type hands and stuff like that as well. So we check two streets here with the king 8, and we just have a pretty easy call if he does bet the river, and a pretty easy value bet if he checks. Very, very tricky for him to have us beat right now, unless it's like a worse king, but he's not going to have that all that often, of course. Definitely want to get involved with Fedor here, so we're going to call with the ace-5 suited. I'm not overly keen about using, like, this would be a 3-bet bluff here for me pretty often, but I don't know how good that's going to be, especially when he is potentially on tilt. And I'm actually just going to jam it here. The reason I'm jamming there is that if he ever has a 10, he's never going to consider folding. If he doesn't, then it's going to be hard to get that much value anyway. The times that he does have a 10 and pays us the max amount is going to make up for when he doesn't. And I mean, if he has a boat or something or anything like that, there we're gonna be doubling up here, because we're never planning on folding versus this guy ever. But and especially when he's just been caught out in a weird bluff, he's definitely less inclined to take a kind of bluffing line. So I just want to apply the max pressure and look for max value on a guy who's potentially on tilt after the misconstrued bluff a few moments ago. Definitely happy to see him get involved here when we flop at the toppest of the pairs. So we have a very, very easy bet here. And we are going to bet again here. He can have diamonds, he can have worse 10x, he can have a decent chunk of hands that we want to get value from. Queen of diamonds is annoying. Very annoying, actually. If he leads here, it's kind of gross, because we've seen that he is obviously capable of bluffing in these spots, but we're happy to check this one down here now. And we chop it up with king 10 versus the king 10. Happy to see a new player join the table up here, do 20. Not overly keen. It's just kind of, I mean, my heads up game isn't particularly fantastic anyway, but I am, when I'm making videos, it's just kind of being heads up just makes it a lot more dicey, because you get so many more hands in, a lot of focus just ends up on that table. So we would rather see a few players come in here now. And we do, fantastic. Queen Jack, easy open. Make this too large, actually. Typically I'm just 2.5xing from the button, but we decide to 3x here as a more of a misclick, or not even a misclick, but as a not thinking my decision through, should I say. Okay, we flop 3 to straight. We have overcards. We are going to wager. We just take it down now, that's fine, and there are a lot of decent cards for us to barrel on the turn. Any 9, any jack, queen, king, ace, all decent cards for us. Some improve our equity, or sorry, all improve our equity, but some improve our, like, we're just our, you know, any ace is obviously good because we have a decent chunk of ace x that will play that way. Any king gives us an open ender, any 9 gives us an open ender, and any jack or queen gives us the purr. Queen 5, easy fold. Ace queen suited, we will be looking to get involved down in the bottom right table. Top pair on a wet board, we will be betting. Take it down. Don't hate just taking it down. Like, I mean, if we get raised there, it's kind of a sad spot, but we obviously wouldn't have minded just seeing a couple of calls as well. As in a couple of calls on the flop and then another one on the turn. 6-7 suited, we will be opening. Our friend Fedor decides to get out of the way. Ace-5 suited, we will be opening again. King 5 suited, we're going to go for the 3-bet here versus Zaru. We take it down without a fight. Going to call here with the 9s. folding seems far too tight, and I'm not overly keen about 4-bet getting it in these positions. We're not calling here just to set mine. There are a decent amount of favourable boards. The ace-high one, definitely not one of them, though. Have to fold the sixes facing the raise and the re-raise. Pick up an open-ender here with our ace-high. Actually, I'm going to check again here, mainly because ace-high has some showdown. And I don't really expect to get any pairs to fold, so we're just allowing him to play close to perfect poker. We might get folds from like hands like ace-10 and stuff like that. That's about it. So they lead, and they lead for almost pot. Alright, we're going to let you have this one. We're going to call in position here with the Jack King suited versus our friend JP Morgan. Definitely do not want to see this player overcall. We're not going to be betting this board. Happy to check back the turn up in the top left table. So JP opened, we flatted pre, they c-bet flop, we called. We're happy to check this back. And then we're just going to take our showdown here. King Jack versus King Jack. Chop it up, dealer. A little bit down on this table, so just need to top back up again. And easy, easy, easy open with the tens. We're not going to fold the suited cards here in a multi-way pot facing a min open. I'm going to go for the check call here with the weak flush draw. We pick up a good shot to go along with our flush draw, which is not a disaster. Problem is here, when no danger calls, he can definitely have some better flush draws, but I mean, if they have a better flush draw and we both hit, then we're going to lose a decent chunk of change no matter what. We're not going to turn our hand into a bluff here. When this person has bet and this person has called, yeah, I didn't imagine that we had much fold equity at all there. They're going to be reasonably pair heavy. As I said, sometimes they do have just a better flush draw that's whiffed and stuff like that, but betting does not seem like it will be a profitable long-term endeavor. 10 Jack suited, let's see if we can get involved. We're just going to flat here again. More than happy to play pots in position here. Okay with this going multi-way as well. I would prefer not to see a squeeze here. Depending on the sizing though, we may elect to call. Not really our board. Again, we do have we do have a decent amount of backdoor potential, but it's not really enough to peel multi-way here. If that queen was like the 9 of spades instead, where we had overcards to the board and stuff like that, I'd be much more inclined to peel. But as it stands, we did not have much equity at all there, and we had to let it go. So we are approaching the end of the video now pretty shortly. First session was obviously very good. Second session we did not so good. I think we are, yeah, we're just about even for the day. We're ever so slightly down. Less than like €1 or maybe just slightly over €1. Still have a minute or two to make that back, obviously. But first session was obviously a lot better than the second. But keep in mind that we did have certainly with one cooler where we got the kings and the aces. The king jack hand, obviously not so much a cooler as just a bit of an unfortunate board. But we get it in a somewhat flipping scenario when we took the aggressive line pre-flop, which, you know, whatever. I'm happy with how I played it. We're not going to fight. All the other hands, we haven't had any kind of particularly massive pots or anything like that. It's been reasonably straightforward. We've kind of just been chipping up for the most part, slowly but surely. And then we've had our money go in bad a couple of times. We did obviously have one of the flush over flushes throughout the series as well, so we didn't just run bad. Alright, we have 3 to a straight here with one overcard, but more importantly, just the dynamics here are a lot different. We're going to flat at least one straight here anyway, and look to get aggressive on some turns. If he checks to us, we'll definitely get aggressive. He does follow through with the second barrel. We're just going to go ahead and let him have it. If he had gone smaller there, we would have considered going for the delayed raise, but unfortunately he did not give us that opportunity. Alright guys, so that's going to be me. Unfortunately, we lost our profit from the first session. We didn't get it back, but hey, these things are going to happen in poker. Overall, definitely happy with how I played and happy with these pools for sure. If anyone wants to get involved, you can of course sign up through PokerVIP as per usual. And as always, any questions, queries, comments about any of the hands that we've played, feel free to fire them on. I do always check, the YouTube comment section, the Poker VIP comment section, all of that too. And as I said, if you have any questions or comments on any of the hands at all, I'm always more than happy to talk through certain spots. So thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I'll be back again soon with more videos. Take care now. Bye-bye.